Welcome to Pokemon from Scratch, a sealed only challenge where with a budget of $30 a week, we will attempt to build a competitive deck using only the cards we obtain from buying sealed products. And the rules are simple, no trading and no buying singles allowed. Our goal is to ultimately qualify for the Pokemon World Championships using only these cards. Make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with this challenging competitive journey. Now let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Pokemon from Scratch. As you can see, this episode came much faster than episode 5 did, so cut me some slack. Anyways, for our deck, we'll still need some cards, so we're going to use the $37 we have this week for 2 different products to divide and conquer. So what do we need most importantly? Another ADP, and what's the cheapest way to get it? I know, you're probably thinking,
you've lost the ability to surprise me. You're just plain boring.
Again, weird take on our very loving relationship.
if we were to organically crack open another ATP from Cosmic Eclipse packs, we'll be here for another 10 episodes or so before we make any more progress. Anyways, opening up our product, get our ADP, and screw the rest. JK, I still need some other cards. So going to this unorganized mess, we're gonna grab another energy switch and another energy spinner for our deck. Here's our deck and oops, let's grab another Zacian to have matching artwork. We're going to take out our Galarian Meowthline and the Aurora energy for the additional ADP, the energy switch, and the energy spinner. The Meowthline isn't really needed currently as Zigzagoon and Scoop Ups can perform a similar function, so we're just going to add in an energy switch and a spinner to help make our T1 Ultra creation to be more consistent for now. So here's an overall preview of our deck. Oh yeah, now before we get into some games, I forgot to use the remaining $12 that we have left, so let's do that before going into our games. Now, for our remaining $12, we're going to see what we can open up from these 3 double packs. For our Zacian deck, we're mainly looking for Zamazenta, Turbo Patches, and Crobats, and Pikarom can use Vikavolt as well on top of that. So starting out with Sword and Shield, we got Munna, Snom, Grookey, a Clam, Mawile, Ferrodorn, and nice, a rarity bump for our Big Brain Monkey. Next pack we have a Flower, Goldeen, Diglett, Skorupi, Hoot, Lumberry, an Angry Snapping Turtle, and not much else. Last of our Sword and Shield packs, we got a Crappy Krabby, Minccino, a Unicorn, Cottony, Scorbunny, a Ghost, Clado for the rare, and meh. Onto the Darkness Ablaze packs, we got a Wimpod, a Bunny, Toxel, a Teacup, a Beetle, a Fox, a Hollow Metal Elephant, but the Dedenne and the Berkeeper is more useful than our elephant. Next, we got Grimer, a Snow Monkey, Sentret, Rowlet, a Squirrel, Reverse Hollow Heatran, whoa, and Eternatus V. Unfortunately, I don't think we can ever make an Eternatus VMAX deck because pulling 4 Crobats may be a bit far-fetched. For our last pack, we got an Owl, Jigglypuff, Diglett, Panpour, Spinarak, Wimpod, and nice! A Vikavolt V. We definitely need that for Pikarom, so that was a great pull. But unfortunately, we didn't really pull anything to add to our Zacian V deck, so let's move on to the battles. Game 1, we win the coin flip, but I accidentally elect to go first, so oh well. Our hand looks pretty bad at first glance, but since we're going first, it is much more forgiving. We'll grab ADP with Quick Ball since we have everything we need for Ultra Creation for next turn. Attach a Metal Energy and not the Water Energy in case of Crushing Hammer, and then Intrepid Sword and pray we get some draw power. Luckily for us, we got the Dene GX, so we're good to go. Our opponent is playing Mad Party and finds himself a little teacup, but it looks like they're bricking, so they just pass their turn back to us. This matchup, regardless, is favored for us as long as we can get our Altered Creation up, so we'll do just that by attaching Balloon before using the Dene. Our hand is mediocre, but we'll bench a Regular to swap our top deck with Marnie in case we get Marnie ourselves. Then we treat the ADP and then Altered Creation. Our opponent evolves into his Teapot and shows that they top deck into a Roxy, so now the deck can finally start moving. They T-Break for more draw power, grab a Wise Monkey from the Great Ball, and whips the second Great Ball. They Quick Ball for the Bunny, swap their top deck, and then the Dene for a new hand. Unfortunately, they can only muster up 120, so now it's our turn. Our hand is looking pretty bad, so our Primitive Wisdom to see what our top deck could bring us. Unfortunately, it wasn't anything too useful. I should have swapped Jirachi instead of ADP because we don't need ADP anymore, but alas. I used Quick Ball to thin out the deck and grab ADP again so that I could put it into the bottom of my deck with Marnie so I don't draw it again. Our hand is pretty bad and I don't need anything right now, so I hold on to our Dedenne, Viridian Forest to check my deck, and then Ultimate Ray. I spread my energies across my Zacian so that I'm not punished by boss's order from my opponent if I were to put all my energies into one Zacian, because I can't Ultimate Ray any more energies onto the field reliably since all my remaining energies are in my hand. On my opponent's turn, they bench a Teacup, attach a Triple XL before using the Dene. Here they go ham with Mad Party stuff, so a bunch of drawing cards and discarding cards before they finally retreat to the Teapot and knock out my ADP. Here, I don't really need anything yet, nor do I really want to discard my hand, so I just Primitive Wisdom away the Water Energy, and just grab it back with Viridian Forest so that I can have a new top deck later on. I don't want to use the Dene GX yet, just in case of Reset Stamp, so that is what I am playing around. I take the knockout with Zacian, and now it is down to finding and attaching the final two energies into our last Zacian to finish out the game. On my opponent's turn, he evolves the Sinistea and benches the Bunny before showing off a cool tech of Giovanni's Exile to help free his bench. He proceeds to set up another Teapot in case I whiff the energy before knocking out our Zacian. Here I promote Jirachi instead of Zacian, even though it has the Air Balloon, because Zacian needs to be on the bench for Metal Saucer to work, and also because I have a Scoop Up Net in my hand. I Stellar Wish and find no Saucer, but behold, I see an energy switch. Now I decide to take my opponent's soul by beating him in a horrific way. I bench my second Jirachi, energy switch the Metal Energy onto the Jirachi, attach to Jirachi, boss up the Sinistea, and slap that teacup across the screen for 30 damage and for game. Game 2, we lost a coin flip and have to go first. And not only do we have to go first, I see that we're up against Centiskorch, the worst matchup for this deck. My hand is absolutely awful, so I Primitive Wisdom away the Saucer since we can discard a Metal Energy with the Dene and just the Dene here. Our new hand is pretty good to say the least, so I Quick Bot to get Zacian and ADP to thin out the deck before Stellar Wishing to increase the chance of hitting a supporter. And Lord behold, we get a Research, so now we just Intrepid Sword and pass. Our opponent Quick Balls to grab Crobat and Jirachi, so I'm a little nervous about how ham they're about to go, but blessed, they whiff on getting a supporter. They maybe should have Dedenate instead of gambling on Crobat, but this works out for us. On our turn, we Stellar Wish for Saucer before using Scoop Up Net to loop another Stellar Wish in. Unfortunately, this Stellar Wish doesn't get us anything useful, so we just grab an energy switch to discard with Research. We scoop up once more so we can promote ADP to active, and now we just need to get our Water Energy. Research gives us an amazing hand, so we just spin it for the Water Energy and then Ultra Creation. We don't play Viridian Forest here because our opponent can abuse it to help them set up their welders. And we don't Saucer to Zacian here in case they boss up our Zacian to knock it out. On our opponent's turn, they evolve into their VMAX form, and like I just mentioned, they end up bossing up our Zacian to knock it out. Back to us, I use the Saucer that we saved from last turn to our Jirachi so I can energy switch it later on if I need to, and then attach the ADP. I boss up Crobat so that it prevents it from benching any 2 prizers for the rest of the game, and then the Dene because I need to find more Zacians. Luckily for me, Dedenne gets me a quick ball, so I grab a Zacian and then Ultimate Ray for knockout and setting up my Zacian at the same time. Here, my opponent welders, but unfortunately, he only has one energy in hand, so that causes him to miss the knockout by 40. If he had the extra energy, I would have most likely lost, but he would have had to find everything without using a Dedenne or Crobat, since I can potentially just boss him up to end the game. On my turn, my hand wasn't very playable, but I ended up switching into Zacian to attack. This forces my opponent to knock it out with the Center Scorch VMAX, or somehow get a powered up Volcanion to the active without using Dedenne or Crobat. This also plays around any Hyper Potion shenanigans that my opponent could potentially have. Brave Blade and Ultimate Ray is exactly enough damage to knock out a Center Scorch VMAX that used Hyper Potion, but Ultimate Ray into Ultimate Ray is not. On my opponent's side, they bench a second Center Scorch and finally use their Dedenne as a last ditch effort. Unable to find anything, they concede and we take the win. Game 3 and our final game of the day, we win the coin flip and finally get to go second. Unfortunately, our hand looks absolutely terrible. We see our opponent is playing Pikarom and with the quick ball reveals that they're playing the Mewtwo Raichu variant. Our opponent has a busted hand, being able to set up a future Tapu Koko Prism by getting the necessary energies discarded through Dedenne, and then they hit us with the fat pass right after. Our hand is tragic, but we are lucky enough to top deck Jirachi so that we can retreat into it and see if we can salvage our saucers. Unfortunately, no Marnie, so we grab a quick ball to grab the monkey so we can salvage one of our saucers before we research. We hit the nuts, being able to get a metal energy in the hand before we research, but our new hand is so dead, there isn't much we can do. Stellar Wish isn't bringing us any new hopes, so we just attach and then Intrepid Sword. I should have played our Metal Saucer beforehand, but I forgot, so that was a misplay on my part because we are now extremely susceptible to crushing hammers. Our opponent proceeds to do Pikarom things and grab all their Pokemons before showing us the Team Yell Grunt. Thankfully, that doesn't do much to us unless they reset stamp us, so after they Dedenne and Full Blitz, it's back to our turn. We have Altered Creation in hand, so I spin it for the energy, Saucer, and then E-switch to the active. I capture up the Pikarom to hopefully slow down our opponent and then Marnie them. This reduces the chance for them to have a switch. I Primitive Wisdom in case of a Marnie and then proceed to Alter Creation. Our opponent begins their turn by attaching an energy to the active, so I begin to get hopeful that they brick, but then they proceed to tag switch and I started to cry. They ended up being able to Marnie us as well before full blitzing. They only attached one energy to Mewtwo, so that was important to note that maybe they're out of energies in the deck. On my turn, I quick ball for Dedenne and then Primitive Wisdom I research onto our top deck. We get a scoop up net, so I just use it just so I can refresh Oranguru's ability before I Dedenne. With our new hand, I get the boss's order that I was hoping for, so we're able to take the knockout on the Dedenne for 3 prizes. This is extremely important because it sets up our Zacian and we have the ability to one-shot Mewtwo if needed, as long as we get our Galarian Zigzagoon. Here, we unfortunately get stamped to 3, but that's okay. Our opponent is digging extremely hard for an energy because they have 11 energies in total, either in the discard or on the field, or potentially in the prize cards. They need their last energy or so in the deck, but with research, Crobat, and good deck dinning, they're able to get it and finish the game. Overall, we went 2-1 this week, however, our one loss was extremely close. We most likely had game next turn, and in addition, we also missed turn 1 Alter Creation in that game. Taking out the Galarian Meowth line was definitely nice in reducing the amount of brick cards we have in the deck. I want to add some personal spicy text in the deck, so look forward to next week when those products come in. See you then, and thanks for watching.